Peshmerga fighters take centre stage in French feature Girls of the Sun. Striking out from a leper colony, Yomeddine brings us a road trip with a difference, and we check out a wide spectrum of cinema at Paris's LGBT Film Festival. Now, for all that, film critic Lisa Nesselson joins us. Hi, Lisa.
Hello, Olivia.
Now, we're starting with a film that got a lot of attention at the Cannes Film Festival this year, and that's possibly because the director Eva Husson was one of 3 female filmmakers in competition, and there was a huge focus on promoting initiatives led by women in the industry. But the film, Girls of the Sun, didn't actually go over that well, did it?
No, it didn't, but there's an excellent reason for that. It's not very good. I had really high hopes for this because I had absolutely adored the director's first film, her previous film, Bang Gang, and because the topic here, Kurdish female soldiers bravely defending their territory against enemies hell-bent on terror, had already been the subject of some excellent documentaries and, of course, deserves to be more widely known. But this fictionalized account of 2 women, a French journalist grieving for her husband, and a dedicated Kurdish freedom fighter holding out hope that a loved one is still alive and not terminally indoctrinated by the Islamic State, is clunky at best. Despite that, after it was shown at Cannes, it was sold to distributors in quite a few countries. So although it's not very good, a fair number of people will have a pretty good chance of being able to see it in theaters. That's ironic, and I'm not sure whether it's good for the advancement of female directors telling women-centric stories or not.
Okay, well, judge for yourself. Here's a scene from the film.
T'as fait quoi comme étude? Je suis avocate. J'étais avocate. Ça te manque? C'est pas ce qui me manque.
So, Lisa, why doesn't that film work for you?
Well, the incredibly versatile Golshifteh Farahani could do no wrong, but here she's saddled with stiff dialogue and long flashbacks. Some might say unfairly, it turns out, that she's too attractive to play this role. But documentaries such as Gulistan, Land of Roses, show us the truly gorgeous women who leave any semblance of normal life behind to fight the Islamic State, sometimes to the death.
Now, accompanying Golshifteh in that clip, we saw French actress and director Emmanuelle Berco. She plays the journalist in this film.
Yes, Berco is very popular with French viewers, but she's an acquired taste that most English speakers find kind of hard to acquire. She is an accomplished director in her own right, but it's kind of cringe-making that she's been issued an eye patch like the late, truly great American reporter Marie Colvin. I can't put it better than a colleague who wrote, I quote, "Underwritten and completely unconvincing as an experienced war correspondent, she has a dead husband and an eye patch in lieu of a personality," end quote. The underlying raw material is potentially fascinating, but the execution is pedantic and I have to say most of the time not terribly interesting.
Okay, well, another film that was in competition in Cannes at the festival, and it's out in France this week, manages to skirt cliches but does succeed in making us identify with a leper. Tell us more about Yomeddine.
Well, this is the prototype for a film that should not work, and yet, miraculously, it does. I will admit to having missed it up when I saw it, which is not my customary reaction to movies starring lepers with donkeys in search of their roots. And when the main character teams up with an adorable Nubian orphan, ordinarily I'd be making sarcastic comments in the general direction of the screen, but in this case I was effortlessly won over. Béchet, now cured, has lived in an Egyptian leper colony his entire life. He scavenges with his beloved donkey and rudimentary yet trusty cart. But when his wife dies, he decides he wants to see his birth family, who gave him up to be cared for at the leopard facility. So he goes out to cross a big chunk of Egypt. Those are the bare bones of the tale, but I have to say the director puts lots of meat on them.
Okay, well, here's a taste of Yomeddine.
يعني محدش يهمكم يعني ما تعرفوش اهلكم فين؟
هو انا لو في سني ده ويطلع ليا اهل ويسالوا عليا دي تبقى معاقبه. انت عندك كام سنه؟
عندي 40 سنة.
انت منين؟
من حتة اسمها بحور تبع جنة.
طب نقولوا الكلام ده من 20 من 25 من 30 تفتكر يعني من 30 سنه هيفتكروك؟
So, Yomeddine, can you tell us a bit more about the title of that film?
Well, I'm told it's Arabic for Judgment Day. Interpreting the title is up to every viewer, but it's more obvious and more amusing that the orphan sidekick says his name is Obama. And it's hard to imagine disenfranchised kids anywhere on earth clamoring to be named Trump.
Well, we might see that film one day, who knows? Well, moving now to a festival taking place here in Paris. And it wasn't so long ago that someone organising a gay and lesbian film festival wouldn't have had that many films to choose from, and that has certainly changed. The event is called Chéries-Chéris, and it's taking place here in the French capital until November 27th.
Yes, Chéries-Chéris, the feminine and masculine spellings of the plural of the French word for darling, is the annual festival devoted to films that incorporate sexuality that isn't strictly traditional heterosexual. This is the 24th edition of an event that has expanded a great deal since the days when nobody knew what LGBTQ plus stood for. When you're at a gay-themed festival, you could be forgiven for forgetting that straight stories dominate the filmic universe most of the time. That said, there's been excitement at J.K. Rowling's statement that her character Dumbledore, played by Jude Law in the new Harry Potter prequel Fantastic Beasts and the Crimes of Grindelwald, had a very intense romantic relationship with none other than Grindelwald, played by Johnny Depp. Asked in an interview the other day with the New York Times whether young viewers are ready for a gay character, Law replied, "I certainly hope so."
Well, that is definitely far from niche cinema and far from unknown names. So the festival opened with the film The Favourite. It closes with Boy Erased. And Chéries-Chéris also shows a lot of different international features, documentaries, shorts. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, every possible genre now is very much dipping into these themes. I have to say, in The Favourite by Yorgos Lanthimos, we see that hot strategic lesbianism was afoot at court in the 18th century. To call somebody a queen used to be an insult, but here the queen is, well, the Queen of England, Queen Anne. Why anybody would want to hang out with the royal family has always been beyond me, but boy, does this brilliant romp cement that feeling. And in Boy Erased, based on a memoir, we see that grown-ups who should know better, but have been hoodwinked and brainwashed by their religious beliefs, think they're doing their son a favor by trying to readjust his sexual orientation. It's hard to keep up with the terminology, but I personally had never heard the term straightwashing until about 3 weeks ago. Straightwashing as in whitewashing the homosexuality of a person or a character, supposedly to downplay their real desires and then make them somehow more palatable to straight audiences. A movie I like very much, Bohemian Rhapsody, currently in theaters, about Freddie Mercury and Queen, has been rather viciously accused of sidestepping Mercury's sexuality, and that's simply untrue.
It's true that that film did prompt quite a lot of debate on that issue. Well, let's get back now to thwarted romance of a thoroughly heterosexual nature. The Third Man, directed by Carol Reed, is re-released here in France a little while after its original release in 1949. The film is considered a bona fide classic.
Well, The Third Man was voted the best British film ever made in a British Film Institute poll. Anton Karas' zither music is as distinctive as the James Bond theme or the Star Wars theme. The film is set in post-war Vienna, and it positively drips with atmosphere. It's a tale of an innocent abroad, played by Joseph Cotton, and a horrifically cynical, profiteering opportunist, Harry Lime, played by Orson Welles. Welles isn't in the movie all that much, which makes him that much more riveting when he does appear. Harry Lime has faked his own death, which was what author Graham Greene's initial inspiration for the story was. Harry uses the moodily photogenic sewers of Vienna in the ways most of us wouldn't think of doing. And if you go to Vienna, I suggest you take a Third Man tour, which includes those sewers. And if you'd like to combine a visit to a great European city with a trip to a great European film festival, plan now to attend the Biennale, the Vienna International Film Festival, next October. I've just been. It's an ideal event if you only understand English, and the programming is superb. And you may never have heard of it because it's non-competitive. That's one of the things I like best about it. Major festival, not obsessed with world premieres or prizes, just good films. And you can come to France to see The Third Man this month, or you can see it year-round in Vienna, which has beautiful, beautiful movie theaters. Orson Welles died at age 70 in 1985, but he's very much with us this month. The film he started shooting in the 1970s, The Other Side of the Wind, has finally been finished 48 years later after a decade of wrangling to clear the rights to footage held in a Paris bank vault after the Iranian Revolution, among other pretty major force majeure helped put it out of reach, and it's a daring artifact that is still kind of ahead of its time. And the accompanying documentary, The Love Me When I'm Dead, is as entertaining as it is informative. Go Orson Welles.
It's true. Orson Welles never out of fashion in the world of cinema. That's all for this week. Thank you very much for joining us, Lisa. We'll leave you with a glimpse of Orson Welles looking very fresh-faced in The Third Man. Do remember you can get more movie news, arts and culture on our website, and you can keep up with Encore on social media too. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.
Look down there. Would you really feel any pity if one of those dots stopped moving forever? If I offered you 20,000 pounds for every dot that stopped, would you really, old man, tell me to keep my money? Or would you calculate how many dots you could afford to spin? Free of income tax, only. Free of income tax. The only way you can save money nowadays.
A lot of good your money will do you in jail.
That jail's in another zone. There's no proof against me. Besides you.